we didn't just get high. Hold on a second. Oh, that's right. We were talking about fucking White Castle
and in and out, dude.
So you started as an actor.
I did. I started as an actor and stand-up, actually. I started doing stand-up.
I didn't know this.
In New York. And
who knows this? Anybody?
Some people know it. Some people know it.
Does Russell Brand know it?
I don't know if Russell knows it. He may.
Well,
he knows I started out as an actor.
When do you start? When do you tap out and say, I'm a writer? Because there's guys that are meant to write,
right.
and you see them in writer rooms everywhere,
right.
and they're very good at it. Mm-hmm. There's guys that are meant to write, and they're very bad at it. Mm-hmm. But a guy that was acting, were you bad at acting?
No, I was okay.
What if you just went, I was the shit, bro.
I was the shit, man.
Nobody could fuck with me in Clark, New Jersey.
Stand-up, I love doing stand-up. I just didn't have the discipline for stand-up. That's why I have so much respect for it.
To wake up at noon and talk for 20 minutes a night? What discipline?
No, but I mean,
you wrote Sons of Anarchy.
Writing material and stuff like that. I just didn't have the discipline to do that. And but then I was studying to be an actor. I was in this conservatory program in New York, and then so I did stand up when I could, but then sort of I just couldn't ride it out, and it was too fucking hard, man, because I just couldn't handle. I love the good nights, I couldn't handle the bad nights, So
how many? I guess you control your bad nights when you run a show. Like you're very much the master of your domain.
Right.
But I guess the problem, if you're a showrunner, is you can't see when it's a bad night. That's when you need a really great crew around you to go,
right.
This shit ain't working, dude.
Right. Yeah, I think it's, I'm lucky that we usually get to there's enough intervention, I think, in the process. So I'd like to think that.
But you said you don't like feedback, though.
No, but I mean just in general, in terms of like if we're most of that stuff that doesn't work gets weeded out in the room. Like I'll know if we're breaking a story and it doesn't work, so that by the time I sit down to write it, I'll have a sense of whether or not it's going to work.
Now, how long does a guy have to work with you where he can feel comfortable to say it's not good, Kurt? It's just.
I have not met that guy yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's complete. You're just. It's a dictatorship, and.
No, I mean it's a creative process in terms of coming up with the ideas. Like I have 6 writers, and we come up with ideas.
But no one ever tells you you're right. Your specific idea is bad.
No, well, that's not the process. And I wouldn't do that to a writer either. If a writer pitches something to me, I'm not going to say it's a bad idea. Ideally what you do is you throw it onto the table and you hope that it turns into a good idea or inspires a good idea.
You let the blackbirds pick at the carnage on the road until it's not the idea anymore.
And get what's left.
That's a nice process. You take their bad idea, you keep it cool, and then you let all the other writers kick the shit out of the other guy.
Here's my strength as a storyteller is that I have some I'll come in with some big broad strokes for the season and a general blueprint of what I want to do, but I hire good writers and I hire talented people in the room, and what I'm able to do is take an idea that is good and then kind of bump it up a notch to where I think it's good enough for the show. So and ideally that's what the room should be. It should be a back and forth so that a good idea becomes a great idea.
But how do you this again? If you're the showrunner and you're the end-all be-all, and you are the end-all be-all of the show, this is absolutely all your show.
Right,
and you have guys that kind of get what you're doing and they work for you.
Right.
I know you'll say they work with you, but they're working for you, would you say?
Yeah. I mean, I would say.
How do you know, like when you said about stand-up, that you couldn't take the bad nights?
Right.
I haven't seen it yet on television, but maybe when it gets weeded out, how do you know who has the balls in that circle to ever tell you that this is a bad night? This is not work. How do they steer you away from something that, or
No, I know what you're asking.
Oh, okay.
I know what you're asking.
Are you aware of any specific times when guys have, voted as a block and said, I really think it should go this way instead of that way, and you push back and then they were right?
No, I think, I would say if there was one person that does that and has the authority to do that and maybe the balls to do it, it would be probably John Landgraf, And I've had conversations, especially early on in the first couple seasons, where, John would push back and I would push back. And there were a couple times when he was right, and then I'd like to think there was a couple times when I was right, One of the interesting things is that, the research when we started this show was that people no longer wanted serialized dramas. They wanted episodes that were more standalone. So some of the bump in the road for this show coming out of the gate was that there was this sort of pressure or this desire to have episodes feel a little less serialized. And I didn't know how to not write a serialized drama. Like, I only know how to write shit that's character-based,
Yeah,
so it
week
was
to week. Where are they going?
Yeah, so I struggled with the idea of how do I give a standalone component. And I think it's not that the first 4 or 5 episodes were not good, but I feel like they had a different rhythm. And then finally, I just got to episode 5, and I remember having a conversation with John saying, dude, I'm into the mythology. I'm into the big arc here for this season. I gotta write the show I know how to write. And I think at that point there was an awareness of that's what was making the show good. Like, it was all the character based. It was the serialized component. That's what people were plugging into. And that's really when I feel like that's when the show became mine. That's when they went, okay, this is what he knows what he's doing. Like, this vision is on track. So by episode 5 or 6 of season 1, I felt like we hit our stride. I knew what show I was writing. The audience knew what show they were watching. The network was starting to trust me, so that by the end of the first season, there was a sense of, okay, I think we're on the rails here,
Does it freak you out when you watch it? Because the characters are so specific and so definable that you realize when you watch it on TV, this entire world came out of my mind.
Right.
Like, there's monks that meditate for years to try to create something, an actual tangible thing to touch.
Right.
Like a drawing or something. And you actually have taken shit in your mind, your imagination. You didn't have the discipline to do stand-up comedy, which is fleeting and quick, and it's in the moment and it's done. But now you have this town, and then there's other towns. You have rival gangs and other and people remember, like, members of the Mayans from fucking 3 years ago. Like, does that ever? That's got to be kind of heady, right?
It's cool, and I try to I have to stay in gratitude and some humility about it. Katie's great, because every once in a while we'll be watching this or we'll be doing some press thing, and Katie will just sort of whisper in my ear, this all came from your head, so yeah, it's awesome. I think
how many people would you guess, I don't know the answer, are in this make-believe world that came from your head?
Oh, wow. I have no idea.
Think about that for a second. That's
right.
like some trippy stuff,
yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Take a guess.
Man, I don't know. I got us probably in the hundreds at this point, different characters, secondary characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a nurse.
Yeah.
EMT number 2 that goes, excuse me.
Yeah.
Like, you either go, and then the EMT, like, there's an actual, more people live on Sons of Anarchy than in Clark, New Jersey.
Absolutely. That's right. And one of the things I love is that, the cool thing for me is like walking through our lot, and
where do you guys shoot?
We shoot in the asshole of North Hollywood. We have one of the old lots there in the industrial area off of.
I thought it was like an actual guy in his asshole.
In his asshole. But it's great because we have the whole
like City of Industry. No, what's it called?
It's off of like Sherman way out the fuck
like where
there.
they do porn.
Yeah. We're near there's a big adult bookstore right on our corner.
Naturally.
And so we shoot. We shoot
or as
that.
we like to call it, craft service. I'm gonna go get some pickled eggs. You guys need anything?
I'm gonna go do research.
Are there little videos in that bookstore too? Like when you go in that little booth and rub one out?
Yeah, it's got the little booths and
the In-N-Out burger. Very nice, man.
Yeah.
King of the callbacks.
There you go.
Kid's sharp.
He's sharp. He's
raising
them
like veal, bro. So you're in the asshole of North Hollywood.
Oh yeah, we're in the asshole. But I walk through the lot. There's hundreds of crew and cast and ancillary departments and it's just awesome to be able to know that you're helping employ a lot of fucking people. Like to me, as look, I love the success and I love all the trappings that come with it. It's all fantastic. But it's there's just something really cool about the energy of people dig the gig. People like coming to work. People are proud of the work. So it's not like one of these oppressive things where people hate the fucking job. People
did they shoot anything else on that lot?
No, we have the whole lot. And
good.
Every once in a while, 20th will rent it out, for a pilot and stuff. But no, they used to shoot a Nickelodeon show there, which is fantastic. Because we came back and there was like a little happy little town off the back of where we actually turned into the porn set.
Hole in the wall gang.
Yeah,
Bloop and Loop. I don't know.
It was one where they had it was a live audience because part of the deal was we came in, there were like bleachers and shit in the middle of the stage. I don't know which one it was.
It's got to be weird for you when you write and you've created a show and it's living an incredible life. When you kill someone, that's got to be one of the hardest things to put pen to paper and realize. Because that's the thing, like in any of the like Sopranos, for example, you brought it up earlier. And the best surprise is when you're so pissed off that somebody got killed on a show. And as the writer, doesn't a part of you go, I don't want this person to die? Like, what is that balancing act between knowing someone's got to go,
right?
But you love working with this person and you love writing this character, and I'm never, unless it's a dream sequence and I'm an asshole, I'm never going to go back and write for this person again.
Right. No, it's tough,
How do you know which person's going to die?
Well, I had never, I wasn't sure. I knew Piney in season 4, not to spoil if people haven't watched, but I knew that character would probably go in season 4 or season 5 based on the arc of that character and the story.
Does Ron Perlman know that he dies next season?
Not yet, no.
I shouldn't have said that, probably. You let me look at some very private papers earlier. And he's replaced.
And he's replaced by Scott Glenn.
I stopped because I almost said John Glenn again by accident because I'm a fucking...
No, it should be John Glenn.
If you pull a dead John Glenn.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Is he dead? Is John Glenn dead or alive?
I think John Glenn's alive, isn't he?
Well,
I don't know.
We'll hold this.
Yes.
We'll hold this episode. I was thinking of Neil Armstrong. He definitely died.
Neil Armstrong died?
Well, I was thinking of Lance Armstrong.
That's Lance Armstrong.
Sorry about that.
He didn't die.
So how
what the fuck were we talking about?
People dying. Do you know the arc? Like when you when you write the pilot, you have no idea who's dying or living.
Right. No. I mean, I knew, like, for instance, like the character of Opie. Like I wasn't sure about, like, I didn't see that death coming like in season 2.
How does that sneak up on the creator?
Well, here's what happens is, like, you take a character down a path. You have a great actor who makes, who interprets things, in his own way. And we created this, I think we sort of created this very sort of introspective and vulnerable and somewhat sad character in Opie. And I just felt like we had run the course with that character and he had suffered so much damage that I felt it was almost impossible to sort of bring him back to the table, to have him participate and do what he used to do, And, I just didn't want to satellite the character or the actor in some other arbitrary story.
Does a part of you feel bad that you did that to the character? Or is that how
absolutely.
it had?
Yeah, you feel, because,